This Wednesday I can remember in a long, long time here at Miller's Ale House. We got Alicia getting married in 10 days. It's a beautiful thing.
As long as she doesn't run down the stairs to get married.
There you go. She's already tripped and fallen. She'll be ready for the honeymoon. We know Alicia. My name is Chuck Burge, and we're at Miller's Ale House as always for three guys who love sports. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney.
Present and accounted for, sir.
How are you, my friend?
Doing good, and yourself?
Excellent.
I'd always rather be hot than cold.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful day outside, isn't it?
It's nice.
Just absolutely gorgeous. It's supposed to be 80 tomorrow.
Lord.
And then winter again by Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it's 80 in mid-March, we're going to get pummeled before it's all said and done,
Absolutely.
so.
We're going to get rain and everything on Friday for the pro day at KSU. As we mentioned, this show is it is time for three guys who love sports. So we started to support men and women that are going through prostate cancer and other physical and mental issues, and we hope that if we can take their mind off what they're going through an hour a week, and so you help somebody and they help somebody, if we all do a little, nobody has to do a lot. So happy to be here. Happy to be at Miller's Ale House again, as always. They provide us with some great food between the two shows. We do this show and another one called The Owls Who Live Sports at 7. And tonight, guess what I have ordered, Robert?
I'm going to go out. I don't know. You're such a wild and crazy guy, and you love to mix it up so often. I'm going to guess Mimi's Fiesta Bowl.
Without the shrimp. It's as good as it gets. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding. You win. That's not a tough one. I did not hear it because you're changing it up this week. What
I
are you
did
getting?
change it up. I went with some...
Larry. Just a little.
I went with some pesto ravioli something.
Pesto ravioli. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's good. Larry, did you go off the grid today, or what did you do?
Yeah, I went a little bit off the grid for me especially. I ordered a chicken Caesar salad, grilled chicken Caesar salad.
We have a healthy Larry the engineer today. That sounds pretty good.
My
You might
wife would absolutely, she would go crazy because the Block family don't usually eat green stuff.
Don't eat salads.
I don't eat
awesome.
green stuff. That's what my food eats.
Well, speaking of green stuff, we have a guy here that's partnered with a lady named Allie Green. It's Mickey Mellon. Everybody welcome Mickey Mellon. Listen to that crowd, Mick. Listen to that crowd.
That's a fantastic intro there.
I'm telling you, that was just kind of a good segue, I guess. Mickey and I met about 7 or 8 years ago at a marketing event and have been friends ever since. And been trying to get him on the show, and he always says, you got to give me some time. You got to give me a couple of weeks. I said, pick a week, and he did, and this is the week he picked.
There you go. We'll see how it goes here. I also need time to prep. I'm not as up on all this stuff as y'all are, so we'll see how it goes.
That's all right. It'll be fine, I'm sure. You probably know more than both of us put together, so that's all right.
There you go.
So we'll dive right into it, and as you know, we have a new quarterback in Atlanta, and it made me think, it's a lot of fun to talk sports this time of year. Which is your favorite part of the year? Is it actually during the season when the games are being played, or now when there's so much conjecture and so much to talk about?
Yeah, so growing up in Michigan, I'm a Lions fan, and so most of the time, this is the better time of year. 'Cause we have like a top pick, and we don't have a season. But these days, Lions are actually pretty good. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the regular season. I'm interested to see what happens, but it's not who the Lions going to take with the number one pick this year, as we've seen so often.
Yeah. Robert, how about you?
Oh, absolutely. The regular season, there's no substitute for it, but it's the only sport in the world that its off-season moves are probably and possibly more interesting than all the other sports still going on.
NFL has generally become the 365 sport. It's talked about every day on every sports station.
And they're smart about the way they market it. They don't.
Oh, absolutely.
They give you enough time. They give you the combine to get you kind of wet and go but then they give you another 6 weeks to think about it before they hit you with that, and then before you know it, teams are reporting, and it's.
But this has been one of the craziest weeks ever in the NFL for free agency. I never remember this many moves being made in a week. And if it is, it wasn't broadcasted.
And not even any of these moves are done yet because this is
no.
actually in the before.
Today is the first day that they can officially sign, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And 2 days ago was when they could announce free agencies. But it's just been a whirlwind the last 2 days of what's going on. So, obviously, the big story here in Atlanta is Kirk Cousins.
Deion? Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Is now coming to to Atlanta.
You're doing a
and-
good job of hiding your excitement. We know how thrilled you are for this, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
Well, not
definitely
everybody
thrilled.
might be a friend of of Chuck on Facebook. So, Chuck, please share with the audience what your real thoughts are on this subject.
My post on Facebook said Kirk Cousins a Falcon. I think I'm going to hurl. So that ought to tell you.
Oh,
that ought to sum up what I'm
that's
feeling
you
about
said.
this. Yeah.
I was wondering what you meant when you said that. I just I
So
wasn't
I'm a little disappointed in the fact that we spent so much of our cap money on one position.
That's fair.
I thought that we would go pick up all these other pieces we need, like defensive end. And, God, they picked up a tight end again and a receiver already. So I'm assuming, because that's what I thought they were going to do during the draft, that they're going to now do that through free agency. So they picked all the offense, and I hope to God they're going to go defense on the draft because they haven't done any moves. I know they were trying to get the guy from Minnesota to come with Kirk Cousins, but he actually signed with, I think, the Texans today, the defensive end. So we have Kirk Cousins as our quarterback, and as I told everybody on my Facebook page, there is no doubt that this is an upgrade on what we had last year. But please tell me that the guy can stand up and that he can throw. I know he's throwing a little bit already, but I mean, surely to God they did a physical or something.
Well,
but how can they do a legitimate physical only 4.5 months after the surgery?
Well, because the people who are doing the physical and the people who are figuring things out, one, yes, you should be afraid because you're a Falcons guy and you've been watching this garbage for a long time, so you know there's been a lot of these moments in our track record, but they know what they had to, they know what the surgery was. They know how it looks. They know what the timetable is for it. What I came up with after this was that for the last 3 years, we've been drafting like we want to drive fast.
All skill
What
positions.
do you want to do? We want to drive fast. And then what do we have? We have Ritter and Taylor. And Taylor and Ritter can't drive fast. They're not.
Who is Taylor?
Heineke.
Oh, Heineke, yeah.
And so at the end of the day, we went out and we got the best driver this offseason had to offer.
I would agree with that.
And did we possibly overspend on it? Absolutely.
Before
It's-
October
it's-
30th, he
it's-
was the best driver.
He's still the best one available, though.
Correct.
Don't know that.
For this particular offseason, based on the team that we've drafted over the last 3 years, he's who you had to go with. You couldn't take the chance. When you look at, I'd like to build through the draft. Well, I might like to build through the draft too, but guess what? Go talk to the Panthers, the Browns, the Jets.
But not the Texans.
But that's it. So
It's a crapshoot, yeah.
your only answer is if we hit that lightning in a bottle and because if they'd have got the number one pick, don't ever forget this one little thing. If Lovie Smith doesn't do that crazy thing on the last play of the game 2 seasons ago, the Texans have the number one pick.
I think they still would have taken stride.
I think that's complete conjecture, and I think you made that up on your way walking to the bathroom
I
this
know.
morning.
I just said I think. I didn't say I know.
I understand, but that's what my point. You don't know, and that other guy was considered way better than the rest. So sometimes you're lucky by not having the first pick, and they're very fortunate. But there's no way that you could have looked at any of these talents that are coming out and said, this guy's going to work good for the Falcons. Man, he's going to be plug in and go, because you just don't know at this level. So I'm glad we got a guy.
Are you happy with Cousins?
I mean, Kirko, are you freaking kidding me?
I saw the pictures of him on the chains.
Oh
and,
yeah, dancing around in the
airplane.
In
or
the
whatever.
airplane.
Yeah.
Do you remember a year ago when former Detroit Mr. Stafford went out to L.A. and remember what he said? He's like, I'm having a hard time fitting in with the younger guys.
Yeah.
Guess what? I don't think Kirko is.
I don't either. I don't know what
looks
Kirko
comfortable.
was drinking on the plane, but
and if you've got, like I said, if you've been wanting to drive fast because you've been drafting all of those skill positions for this long, you're an idiot if you don't go get them. And so I'm happy. I'm happy we did something. Now, is it the right move? I don't know, but it beats the heck out of Ritter.
well, again, I agree. I would have just taken that draft money or the cap money and gotten a defensive end and gotten. I mean, I told you Chris Jones was going to stay with the Chiefs. He did. And we weren't going to get him. But there are other defensives out there they could have got. They need a quarterback. They still need I don't even know if they need a wide receiver now because they got Mooney from Chicago.
Correct.
Who I I think I'd heard of him, but he's not Xavier Worthy, but he's fast. He's 3.47.
Well,
or
but
4.37.
he's had Fields, so no matter
3.4, yeah. Come on.
3.4. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
the fastest person of all time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, because he's had Fields, we don't know how good he is.
Yeah.
So that's going to get figured out right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, Chuck Fields was in the
Moody's
discussion.
happy.
Would you have rather they got Fields?
No.
Okay.
No.
Same.
Out of the options that we had from a free agent perspective, they got the best person they could have gotten.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
But I agree with the other
have
point
no-
too, though.
Yeah.
With the bad Achilles, you never know what he's going to be. So $100 million guaranteed seems a little.
It's a lot of
little
cash.
sketch to guarantee.
It's a lot of
It-
cash.
It is to four guys who don't have 27 cents to rub together.
True.
But if you're the Falcons and you're spending and you have all this cap room, it's the right move. You go, hey, what's the most important position? Oh, that's right. Let's go ahead and pencil in one of the 10 best guys at that position.
Now, Mickey,
and be
are
done
you,
with
are
it.
you a Falcons fan beyond the Lions?
I am. Oh, yeah.
So what do you think of Kirk? Same thing?
I like it. Yeah, he was great in college. I mean, Michigan State guy. You know, he was good there. And
Yeah,
I
Mickey's
think-
got on his
Yeah, the
Michigan
yeah,
blue
there you go.
shirt.
I got
Go-
to enjoy it for the year.
go
I've been saying.
Wolverines. Yeah.
There you go. And I support the Michigan State guy, but even with the Achilles though too, Cousins is mobile, but he's not reliant on that speed. He's not like
Correct.
a Justin Fields that if you'd be really scared if he was coming off an Achilles or something. If Cousins is a little slow, that's all right. As long
But
as you don't get hurt again.
even somebody like, and I know Mahomes runs a little bit more than I'm giving him credit for, but if Mahomes heard something, you'd be worried.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not part of Kirk's game at all. So
Right.
as long as they got it attached on both sides, we got 4 years, which is truly, I believe, the way I read something. It's really a 3-year deal. It's one of those 3-year. This is throwaway money. This is the guaranteed. And this, so yeah, I'm all in. I'm all about it, and I cannot wait to see what we do with that number 1 pick now.
Yeah, what do we do with that pick?
I don't know. I mean, like you said, you'd like to say, well, there's probably at least 3 quarterbacks, if not 4 quarterbacks, going ahead of you.
I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I pray to God they don't spend this money on
I don't
Cousins
care
and
what
get
you're
a
taking.
quarterback.
I'm saying ahead of you.
Yeah.
So if you get 3, or if you can get 4, and then you see Marvin Harrison, then all of a sudden, the top 5 picks, you're on the 3rd person who doesn't wear a quarterback or isn't named Harrison. Man, that's a heck of an offensive
It's a good
lineman.
position to be in.
It's whether
Well,
it be
it's
Turner,
got to be Jared Verse or Dallas Turner.
hypothetically, but you say it's got to be, and we've learned every year that there's a draft.
Well-
Turner's the 9th pick right now, but by come draft day, everybody will be like, well, I knew he was the 4th pick overall the whole time because, clearly that's how it works.
Well, they picked. I heard an interview with Wes Durham yesterday, voice of the Falcons, and he said, "Don't forget the name Rome Odunze."
Oh, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
talking about taking him with the 8th pick, but why would they do that if they just went out and got Mooney?
Because if you want to drive fast, all of a sudden you just put boom, boom, and now all of a sudden you take that rookie Rome and you put him in the slot, and you go, guess what? That secondary has to now cover this guy, this tight end, and here's the rookie.
And they also got who's it, Charlie Warner from the 49ers, a Georgia tight end.
Okay.
But he's more of a blocking tight end, I think, than a pass receiver like Jonnu was. Jonnu
Right,
Smith.
Smith.
Yeah.
I'd love to tell everybody that quarterback's off the table. I don't know the quarterback's off the
That's
table
not a bad
right
call.
now.
I mean, that's where Cousins could be great to use his experience to raise the guy up over the next couple of years and train him. And I don't think they should, but
and I don't think they will. But at the same time, I think Cousins is one of the decent guys in the league who might actually talk to the other guy. Not pull a Aaron Rodgers where Love has to figure everything out on the end of the bench by himself. I think he might actually give a little Love a little input. So we'll
And
see.
I really think that they need to draft a quarterback. I hope not with the first pick. But they've got lots of picks, maybe 3rd, 4th round. I don't know who will be left. But
Bo
somebody that
Nix.
can be trained. Bo Nix won't be around in the 3rd or 4th round, I don't think.
Probably not.
But
well,
we'll
like you
see.
said, it's so hard to say, though. I mean, come on. I mean, look at Brady. He's a classic example, of course, going to the end. And, every year you see that where they're not in order of how good they are in the draft because we have no idea. So if we can pick up someone in the 3rd round, he could be great.
Hey, when was
Who
it?
knows?
Brady was drafted, what, in the 5th or
Sixth.
6th? 6th
Sixth.
round?
And with Brady and Purdy, and I understand all that. I got to hand both of those 2 cases off to being in the right city during the right time. I don't think
Oh, yeah.
either one of those quarterbacks ever succeed most likely in any other city. And I know that's, horrible to say about Mr. Tom Brady with all those rings. If he gets drafted by the Lions, he's sitting at the end of the bench and he never starts. You know,
Lions
what I mean?
picked some great quarterbacks over the years.
Yeah,
They didn't win anything.
Mikowski, the Magic Man. I know it.
Is he the one that ran out of the back of his own? Oh, no, that was Orlovsky, wasn't it?
Yeah, Orlovsky ran.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was
That was a good
hilarious.
one. That was a good one.
Yeah. All right. So, how far can the Falcons go? Now they have a serviceable quarterback, which is better than what they had.
But tell me right now. Forget fantasy football. We won't look up fantasy football stats. What number quarterback is Cousins? There's 32 teams. What number is he?
I would say he's between 10 and 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
15 is on the serviceable side.
Yeah.
I don't think I think he's much better than that. I think.
Yeah.
Are you talking historically or this coming year?
There's
a difference.
Say going into last year with a healthy
He was
Justin
probably
Jefferson.
top 10.
Oh yeah, he was top 10.
Yeah.
He was top
Yeah.
10.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's thrown for 25 or more touchdowns for every year, like the last 8 years.
He's
Very few interceptions.
He's had great toys. He had Diggs. He had Jefferson.
Well, he made Diggs. Because Diggs is okay in Buffalo, but he's not great.
Nope.
He's not the guy he was in Minnesota. But I remember him specifically catching that pass
made-
against the Saints.
Yep. He made Thielen.
He made Thielen. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Tony, what's his name on PTI?
Kornheiser.
Kornheiser said Falcons are now Super Bowl material.
They are Super Bowl material because he's one of the 10 best. And when you look at it at the end of the day, anything can happen. Injuries this way, that way, and everything else. But you got to have somebody who is competent enough, and his competency exudes through all of his pores. So when he walks into a room,
I haven't seen that coming out of his pores yet.
but yeah, you did. You
gotta
saw
zoom
you
in.
saw the
Yeah.
picture
Oh, the
of him.
chains?
Him bouncing on the thing. These guys buy into him, and that's all that really matters. If you can't buy into me, you can't be the best player you can be. So I will say right now for the Falcons, there were certain players on the team, and I'm not naming names because I don't have any names. But when you see Ritter is what we're bringing to the table, you're thinking, man, I don't need to do any extra workouts this week. It's not going to ever come to that. But when you see Cousins walk into the room, you think, man, I better pump out another 25 push-ups, or I better do a couple more wind sprints with that parachute behind me, whatever the case is. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I think they're playoff caliber. I'm not sure they're necessarily the Super Bowl, but if you make the playoffs, anything can happen.
Well,
so.
I think he's immediately the best quarterback in the NFC South.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Not even remotely close as far as I'm concerned.
Although I'd have liked to seen Baker here just because he wasn't injured. But let's get to an Alvin Jameson commercial before we run late.
Hey, Alvin Jameson here, the mortgage guy. Are you looking to get pre-approved for a home loan? Or maybe you want to build a house from the ground up? Are you curious, or better yet, is your significant other on your back about making renovations in your current home? Call me. I have options for you. All self-employed individuals. Are you torn between writing off all your income or having to show your income to qualify for a house? I have a third alternative for you. Whether you're a W-2 employee, self-employed individual looking to do a purchase or pull money out of your current house, or better yet, we can't forget the investors out there. If you have that high interest rate, hard money loan and looking to refinance out of it, again, give me a call. I have options. Below are the states that I'm personally licensed in. Call me, 404-587-9033. Again, 404-587-9033. Visit the website, alvinjameson.com.
All right, thank you, Alvin Jameson, for being a sponsor. Three Guys Who Love Sports. We're here with my buddy Robert and our good friend, Mr. Mickey Mellon. Mickey, how's it going so far?
So far, so good. You haven't stumped me too bad, but I know it's coming.
Oh, no, you're good. No, we're
coming.
good.
We're
good.
not here to stop.
Oh, I know, I know.
We're just here to
talk.
Three Guys Who Love Sports. That's all we do.
There you go.
That's right. All right. So, as we said, a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. Free agency has been crazy. Were you a little surprised where Russell wound up going?
I'm surprised at everything that's been happening. around the Steelers organization. I've actually asked a buddy of mine if the TVs in Pittsburgh have worked for the last few years, because between asking Arthur Smith to run your offense and then to say, and you can run it for, it's mind-boggling to me. But at the same time, the guy's only getting paid $1.5 million a year, and it's clear they knew that Little Hands Pickett was not the right answer. When you were going with Rudolph in that playoff game, you knew those days were numbered. So for what they're bringing to the table, it's a garbage pile. But I'm not surprised, I guess.
1.2 million, and what they're paying Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's like 1.2, 1.5.
Yeah, and I know Denver's paying him 39.7. So bargain basement for the Steelers, right? Yep. Mick, how about you? What do you think about that move?
Yeah, I mean, for the deal, you've got it. I mean, that gives you more. You talk about we lost all this cap space in Atlanta. I mean, they didn't have to give up any cap space for that. Yeah, so they can maybe fill around him better. And if you talk about serviceable quarterbacks, he's serviceable. He's maybe, I don't know, what do you call him, 20th best? He's still up there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, his
For that
numbers
price?
weren't that bad the last 2 years. The Broncos were just horrible.
Yeah, for 1.2, come on. Yeah.
I think one of the more interesting things on this particular edition will be the UGA wide receiver. What's his name?
Brad
Pickens.
McConkey.
Pickens.
Oh, George McConkey.
So,
George
yeah,
Pickens.
So, Pickens is a guy who gets like 2 targets a game and usually catches one of them for a 70-yard pass. And that was with very inferior quarterbacks. So it would be interesting to see what Wilson's being able to do to help him out a lot.
And Najee running the ball still. So
And Najee's backup, I think, pretty much kind of stole his starting job. So even going into camp next year, I don't think Najee's locked in as your bell cow starter.
we'll see what happens, right? A lot of crazy moves. There are a lot of teams still without quarterbacks. What's Minnesota going to do? I saw the 2 guys that are still in their quarterback room. I didn't know either one of them.
Dobbs?
No, Dobbs isn't there anymore.
Okay, so they
He wasn't one
traded
of
for
the 2.
Jobs just for the last Dobbs
to
for
beat the
last
Falcons. Yes,
8 games.
that was crazy.
What pick do they have?
I'm not sure where
Well,
Minnesota is. Robert will look it
Minnesota?
up.
I've got it up right now.
But
Let's see.
the Raiders need a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. Who's going to be Denver's quarterback?
Again, this is why
They've got-
getting Cousins was a good score for us.
Minnesota is the 17th pick currently.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Denver's they're right behind the Falcons, aren't they? At 9.
Oh wait, I take that back. In this mock draft, that is a mock trade from the Jaguars. So they don't have the 17th pick.
Oh,
there
dang.
could be some Viking fans out there getting excited.
What'd you think about Mac Jones going to Jacksonville?
He's a backup, and clearly somebody thinks, hey, I can make a serviceable backup out of him. He was not going to ever get that in New England. So
And New England needs a quarterback.
correct. According to the mock draft that I'm looking at right now, it has
Whose mock draft is that?
Yeah, but
It's
New
a
England,
CBS. It's a
Oh, CBS.
CBS.
New England has that 3 picks.
Yeah, they got the 3 pick.
They'll get a quarterback there.
Probably Jaden
Right now, it
Daniels.
has Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels,
Going to the Commanders?
Drake May.
Going to
As
the Patriots?
Correct. Those are the top 3 in order, and then Harrison Jr. going out to play with the Cardinals.
Wow. Do they have a quarterback? I guess Kyler Murray's
Kyler
back.
Murray looked good last 5 games when he played. He was out the first 12 games or whatever, but he looked good.
Yeah, I think he's a good one to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of teams out there without a quarterback. Do you think there'll be a lot of movement, trade-wise, people trying to get to the front?
I mean, there's only 3 good quarterbacks, count JJ, the national champ.
Well, and if you go down this mock draft, which I don't have to believe in it, they got JJ going number 6 to the Giants.
Yeah, and I think that's why he came out too. I mean, he debated whether he'd come out or not, but he figured all these teams are going to need quarterbacks. He'll score better this year than he might have next year. So,
If you're young and you're articulate, which he is both, and you got a little hardware and you got a little charisma, he's selling himself. I don't know if he's half of what he's selling, but and he's like, hey,
There's people buying.
I'm
He's
a
moving up.
winner, and this is what I do.
I mean, I'll say as a Michigan fan, like we talked before, I mean, he won because of their offensive line. Like, he's a good quarterback, but what's it going to be like with a normal offensive line? Not,
Correct.
Not
That
5
was-
NFL players
That was
in
Zach
college.
Wilson. When Zach Wilson went to the Jets, he had the largest offensive line his senior year at BYU.
Sean's shaking his head about his Jets.
But it's like, well, does that really really matter. It's like, okay, well, BYU's schedule was against these teams, and they had the biggest offensive line. So,
It makes a difference, yeah.
Comes into
Now,
play.
JJ can move, but we'll see. I mean, college movement and pro movement are wildly different. So
They are, and he didn't have to throw that much because
Right,
they
that
had
too.
Blake Corum and what was the other running back's name? at
Donovan
Michigan?
Edwards, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Edwards. Two dynamic backs, probably the best
1-2 punch in a
1-2
while.
punch I've seen in a long, long time.
yeah, we'll see what Don does as the number one now, but I'm not real confident. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Michigan's not going to be that bad. They're not going to lose an offensive line. Not everybody.
Well,
They got some big
They
boys
just
up
did lose
there.
They lost all 5.
Did they really?
Yeah, they have good backups. I mean, they'll still be solid. But
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to like mess with you on this one, but
Me or Mickey?
Mickey.
Oh, okay.
But I always mean to mess with you.
I know that.
At the end of the day, you guys aren't throwing the ball around anyway.
Right.
So it's not like, well, we got to get this quarterback in here. We're
Since
just going
Desmond Howard.
we're gonna put a bunch of big guys up here on the line, and we're gonna learn how to block, and
There
we're
you
gonna
go.
look how to eat. So I mean, if ever there's a team that's gonna rebuild quicker than some others, it's gonna be Michigan.
I hope you're right. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
All right, so we did a lot of talk about quarterbacks. How about the running backs that have moved?
how about the King?
Yeah, going to the Ravens. That's unbelievable. I'm just blown away by some of the. Aaron Jones leaving. Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, right? Aaron Jones going to the Vikings. King going to Baltimore. And somebody went to Tennessee. Who was it went to Tennessee?
I do not know.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, but yeah.
Wasn't Josh? No.
DeAndre Swift went to the Bears.
DeAndre Swift went to the
and then
Bears.
Saquon went to the Eagles to fill in for
Saquon
him.
went to the Eagles. So much interconference or interdivision going on.
those are the
But
guys
who was
who-
it that went to Tennessee? Somebody find out.
Those are the guys who have more tape on you than anybody else. Those interdivision, they've watched you and they're like, man, our whole world would be better if we could have that.
Maybe it was Josh Jacobs went to the Packers, right? Yeah, I can't think of who went to Tennessee. One of the good running backs.
Talk about anything. I'll have it for you in a
Okay.
second.
So what do the Lions do, Mick? They're not a bad ball club.
No, they
but
don't
they
need to do
lost the
much.
running back, Anderson,
Yeah, they lost. Well, they had a couple good backs. I'm not too worried there.
David. Was it Anderson? No,
Or Montgomery? They lose
David Montgomery, yeah.
Oh,
He-
they lost. Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah,
he went to.
that's unfortunate.
Did he go to Minnesota? Went to somewhere.
Who?
David Montgomery.
See, again, though, growing up, I'd be looking at the Lions a lot right now
That's
because they
what
have
I'm
that high
telling you.
pick.
There's
But
just tons and tons of running backs that went this week. And I had it pulled up earlier, and I thought I'd remember them all, but I can't remember.
now, what do you think of Derrick Henry, though? I mean, I love watching the guy run, but is he about done?
You know, I saw somebody talk about the number of carries he's had. He's over 2,000 carries. His average per carry has gone down the last 2 years, and he was 4.2, which is still not bad, but it's not the 5.7 he had a couple of years
Right.
ago and the 4.7 he had year before last.
And he doesn't dance like Barry Sanders or those guys. He takes hits. I mean, he just plows in, which is awesome, but that makes those 2,000 carries 2,000 hard carries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Kansas City picked up a tight end, and I thought they were stacked with Noah Gray and Mrs. What's her name, Mrs. Swift, her boyfriend, but they picked up Irv Smith from Cincinnati. I just don't know what they need.
Tony Pollard went from
Pollard,
Dallas
that's who it
to
was.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
There you
went
go.
to Tennessee.
Good
Yeah,
call.
Pollard.
Also, while I was going down this list, I just noticed that our possible we're going to get a second round pick for this guy isn't going to happen at this point. Calvin Ridley did sign today with the Titans.
Oh, I saw
Yep,
that, yeah.
I saw that. Yeah,
So, we still get a third round pick. It's not good.
better than nothing, right?
Absolutely.
Better than a kick in the head.
Better than a guy who wasn't playing and gambling. So, if you can give me anything for him, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, we wish he would have stayed with Jacksonville, but Jacksonville's picking up. I mean, I've never remember so much movement as I've seen in the last 3 days. You just can't keep up with it all. Like we got a tight end from San Francisco, we got a wide receiver from Chicago, we got Kirk Cousins from Minnesota, and
You got a quarterback going to vice president?
quarterback going to vice president. That's right. Did you see that? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thinking about Aaron Rodgers as his vice president candidate. So
Lord have mercy.
there's no telling what's going on.
That big 0.5% they're going to pull in the but yeah.
Yeah, those Aaron Rodgers fans. It's crazy. I was most blown away, I think, by DeAndre Swift going to the Bears. I don't know why he would leave. And it gave me pause to think, did him and Fields play together at the same time at Georgia?
Well, technically, they never played together because we didn't.
They
play
may have,
Fields.
but
Did
Because
Fields see
what?
him play?
Fields
didn't
didn't
play
play.
Fields.
Yeah.
Fields didn't play.
Were they on the same team? I guess.
There
They-
probably was a little overlap.
There may have been an overlap.
So
but
maybe the Bears said, "Hey, if you come, we'll keep Justin." I don't know.
I think.
No, I don't
if
think that had anything
I think
to do with it.
I think at this point of the running back's career, all these running backs just want another paycheck because their positions being compromised and looked at so differently by boardrooms. You know, when somebody offers you a check, you just jump. I think, in addition to that, he's probably jumping to Chicago thinking, they're going with that kid from USC with that number 1 pick. I don't want to play with Fields. I saw Fields on the practice, on the practice field in Athens.
In Athens.
Yeah. That guy I want to play for, though.
Yeah. All right. So it has been a crazy. I think the Falcons have done okay. I think Baltimore did well. I think Philadelphia did well. Philadelphia got a lot of players. Like Saquon Barkley going to Philadelphia is just.
That's yeah.
And then the King going to Baltimore. It's
Right, but-
crazy how much within the individual divisions went on. It's just nuts.
But
and Robert's right. They got the most tape on them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, that 10-1 Eagles team that everybody was putting posters up on the wall that never got to 12 wins because they lost so many games. Is Saquon that answer?
I don't know.
Saquon, there you go. They're going to win all.
No, because I'd say
I don't know that that's gonna
DeAndre
happen.
Swift was a better running back than Saquon Barkley.
Well, it's a different style, He's
the speed. Yep.
Well, he's the speed, and he's also he's more of a change of pace for a pass first offense. Saquon reminds me of a guy more like King Henry, where you've got to commit to we're going to hand it off to you 19 times a game, or it's not even worth giving it to him
Yeah.
or having him.
Well, you
we'll
tell
see.
the other team you're doing the same thing. We're giving it to him 19 times. Come and stop him.
Yeah.
Correct.
Make him commit.
So
Absolutely.
where does Detroit pick, Mickey?
I don't even know. They got to be up in the 20s.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm
yeah.
sure.
So, again, that's
Yeah.
again. I'm not
For the mock draft.
Yeah. All right, we do a mock draft on the show if you want to come make a pick.
okay. Nice.
Yeah, on the 24th of April. But it won't be one of their picks. It'll be one of the top 10
we
picks.
can't guarantee you Detroit.
Well, because Detroit won't be in the top 10 unless they trade up.
They
Robert's
may have
all
given
over
it up before. They may not even have a first round. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure you got one. It's just like you said. By your own standards, you're pretty excited because it's not at the top of the draft. That means
Exactly.
you did something good.
For sure.
We're good.
Maybe they did give it away for golf.
There we go.
The golf's been a few years though. I don't think it would have been this
There
year.
we go. The 29th pick.
There you
With
go.
the 29th pick of the 2024 NFL Draft, this mock draft says you will select Darius Robinson, edge rusher out of Missouri.
Wow.
All right. We'll see.
Throw him on the opposite side of Aiden
I was going
and
to
see
say
how
they
it
need
works.
someone on the opposite side of Aiden. So yeah,
Right.
that would be good.
All right. Well, all this brain power we used, we probably need to do a commercial for Brain Train.
Man, is he good.
Hey, it's Melissa again with Brain Train Centers. Did you know March is Brain Injury Awareness Month? At Brain Train Centers, we are dedicated to helping anyone who has suffered from a concussion or brain injury. You may not even realize you have been affected by a brain injury because maybe you didn't hit your head. You can injure your brain from a jolt, a fall, or even whiplash. Some symptoms you may experience are memory decline, focus issues, or even bad moods. We could help you heal your brain. All you have to do is come in for a brain assessment at one of our locations and you could see how your brain is functioning. This is your first step to taking back control of your brain's health. Just give us a call or text us at 470-291-2778, or for more information, visit braintraincentersinc.com.
I want to thank Meg and Melissa for being sponsors, our new sponsors this month for the three guys who love sports and the Owls who live sports at 7 o'clock. All about Kennesaw State sports. So we look forward to having some guests on there tonight as well. We're going to continue our tradition and moving up the ladder of the greatest athletes to ever wear a certain number. We have hit number 28. Hard to believe we've done 28 shows about this, but
Well, you know,
not consecutive.
I have to do a number, right? Because I was born on the 28th. So, I mean,
June.
technically, I could be the greatest athlete I think of whenever the 28 comes out.
Could be.
I could be way off base.
You can do what you want.
That's how
There
we
you
like
go.
to do this.
There you go.
It's
you
half
can
your
look at
show.
it how
You do
want.
what you want to. Yeah. Right. So, do you have any thoughts on this, Robert? Or
You know, there's some great athletes on this list. Adrian Peterson.
who's thinking about coming back? Did you read that article this week?
He's a beast. Had he not had the problem, and it's not a problem when you beat your children, but had he
Kind of a
not-
problem.
Yeah, well, especially
It is
for
for
the
your children.
kid. But had he not had that happen and lost the middle part of his career, and kind of got banished from one city looking for another, man, he's a lot higher on this list than everybody else is going to have him. Daryl Green. I had a video sent to me the other day, and it was Daryl Green tackling people. And you see, here's this guy, and he's by himself. And then all of a sudden, here's Daryl Green. He's the fastest guy. And
Dude was fast. No
he
doubt
was
about
the
that.
fastest guy in the NFL, and he was like that. He was considered the fastest guy for like a 12-year period. What has there ever been a time where there's a 35-year-old guy that people go, that's the fastest kid?
dude's fast.
He's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, Mickey, you said you did a lot of research on this because it was something you were lacking in. So
I was, yeah.
Let's hear your knowledge, brother.
Well, starting with basketball, there's no one. I didn't find any decent basketball players. Football, of course, you mentioned a ton of running backs. I mean, you had Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson, Curtis Martin, Fred Taylor, Marshall Faulk, Warwick Dunn. I mean, tons of running backs. Buster, if you want to go Georgia, we got Buster Posey, born in South Georgia, baseball. I mean, he's out at the top, but he's
Catcher,
probably the
San
best.
Francisco,
Yeah.
right?
Hey,
And David Justice.
He won three World Series,
Right, he
and he
got
would
some good
not have
stuff.
won. That team would not have won it without Buster. So
Yeah, David Justice. We all loved him when he was here in Atlanta.
I loved his
growing up in
wife
Michigan,
better.
we had Steve Duchesne, Red Wings, back in the '90s. Won a couple cups with them.
Oh, that's right. You're a Red Wings fan.
Yeah,
too.
there you go. But I think, even though we're not a big soccer country, I think you got to go Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
I
You
saw
gotta go-
Ronaldo on that
I mean,
list,
off
yeah.
a weird metric, but he has 624 million followers on Instagram. I mean, worldwide, he's easily the most popular of the list. I don't know how you define best, but you got to give him.
Well, that's
a
something
good
we
shot
always
at it.
discuss about because a lot of these guys wore 28 for like a week, but they're
Well,
still on this
yeah.
list. So, but I think Ronaldo's probably one of those that has worn it consistently. I don't know.
Yeah, but worldwide, I mean, I think he's got to be the winner. U.S. based, we may go with a running back, but
he has to be worldwide in terms of popularity because
Right.
what's that number you used?
it's
is pretty high.
624 million followers on Instagram. And
I
others.
can guarantee you that there's nobody else on this list that has that many followers.
Not,
on
not
Instagram.
combined even, but we're talking popular or greatest. What does greatest mean? I don't think greatest means Instagram followers.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
No, at least not for me. It might for you.
It doesn't for me either.
Yeah,
but
all right,
it's
so-
a factor though. But
yeah, it is a factor. Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
so
is that
without-
who you would choose?
I think I would. I mean, and then probably followed by like 4 running backs. I mean, you got Marshall Faulk and Warwick Dunn, Adrian Peterson. We talked about, and there's so many good players there. But I'd love to see like a David Justice, Buster Posey, but they're not in that kind of. They're not in the realm of those other folks.
No, but I did see a great David Justice home run one night when they beat Pittsburgh 1-0. But that's my David Justice highlight, other than meeting his wife one time.
yeah, but he was 27 when he did that, so that wouldn't
So
apply.
where was he? 28.
He's probably at 28 when he was with the Indians for a week or
Right,
something
that
like
could
that.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what we run into.
So who's your top then, Chuck?
I took notes on 2, and one of them was Warwick Dunn because he's a great guy. He's done a lot for the city of Tampa. He's done a lot for the city of Atlanta. He's built
For
so
sure.
many homes for single mothers.
Yep.
He's done a great thing. He 3-time Super Bowl, never won it. He was in the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year. That says a lot about somebody.
Huge award.
Great human for sure. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So you think, I think this guy is a great person. Does that make him a great athlete? I'm not sure. My other one was Marshall Faulk,
Yeah.
who did win a Super Bowl.
Won 2, didn't he? Or just 1?
I think just one.
Okay.
He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so you can't laugh at that. That's probably, to me, more impressive than having 26 million followers on Instagram.
260.
Yeah,
No.
whatever.
What was it? 500? I don't know. 624.
624 million. That's
Yeah. That's double the U.S. population.
double.
I mean, yeah.
that is a lot.
But again, that doesn't. He's not a great human or a great player because of that. So.
Yeah. So 7-time Pro Bowl, 3-time NFL second team All Pro, NFL MVP, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, NFL TD rushing leader. So if I had to toss a coin between those two, I would probably go with Marshall, just basically because of the things that he did on the field. Greatest man that wore the number 28, I'd have to give it to Warwick Dunn, but
I like
probably athlete, I got to go with Marshall Faulk.
I too. I went with the headliner of the fastest show on turf. When you think about what that guy was able to do when he was a Colt, he was impressive. But, going back to what we were talking about, quarterbacks going to the right spot, when he was a free agent, the right team said, we'll take that guy. And because of that, it just put him on a trajectory that, he couldn't have possibly imagined. When he was his second year there, he scored 18 touchdowns.
In St. Louis?
Yeah. And, he was amazing. And, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, obviously the bag boy himself, Mr. Wagner, not Wagner. What's my quarterback's name?
I'm totally losing
Kurt
it too.
Warner.
There it is, Kurt
Warner.
There it is.
Obviously all these things, but the reason, the oil that lubed that machine was definitely Mr. Folk. So
Yeah.
and he hit that one number perfect. 100 career touchdowns. There's something about hitting one of those milestones. Boom, dead on. I'm good enough to retire.
Yeah. So you go with Marshall too?
I'm going Marshall.
They won what they won the Super Bowl in Atlanta, right? They're
They won the
ones that-
Super Bowl in 01. That was
by
the
a
play.
yard and a half.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
play with
The
Tennessee.
Titans, yeah.
Yeah. So, which to me was the greatest Super Bowl ever prior to this year. I thought this year probably outdid it. But
I thought this Super Bowl stunk.
it started out stinky, but it wound up being a really good game.
I thought the fourth quarter was amazing. I thought overtime was horribly slow, drab, and unimaginative.
Well, from a who did they play? A San Francisco perspective by taking the ball.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't because of that call that made it that way, but there was no excitement anymore. You knew Mahomes got 4 plays to get a first down every time. He's gonna get this.
You can't give him 4 downs.
Nope.
That's why the Lions made the playoffs. They always have 4 downs. So, yeah, their coach, he doesn't play around.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Mickey, you wouldn't have liked to hear what I said about Dan Campbell on this show because I knew he did it all year, but man, you got to kick the ball and go up 17 points.
It's never a guarantee, though. You can't say kick the ball and go up 17. Kick the ball and maybe go up 17. They don't have a great kicker. He probably would have made it, but
Kickers, generally speaking, on that size of a field goal would hit at about an 88% clip.
That
So
how you think?
you
Yeah,
can pretty
all
much count those 3 points. I mean, not always.
Because I
but
was pulling for Detroit
I
hard.
was too. But
everybody was.
oh yeah.
Everybody was.
So we'll see what they do this year. But I'm with Campbell on those calls. I mean, the stats say you should go for on 4th down almost every time, and all the coaches are too chicken to do it. So
But those guys who came up with the stats have never seen a football game, and that's the only problem I have with that. Where, well, if it's 4th and 4 or less, and you're inside the opponent's 50-yard line, you should definitely go. What? It's
So you just think it's some what do you call them?
it's a statistician's.
yeah,
that's not
a
even-
punt's a turnover.
Yeah, punch
Yeah,
a turnover. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
People have to figure out. Yeah, a punt's a turnover, but I punted inside their 10-yard line.
Right, yeah.
That's one of the
Well, it
differences.
depends. Well, it's like UGA. The craziest stat I heard of them, their punter gave up 0 punt return yards
Yep.
all year.
Absolutely.
That can't have ever happened, I don't think. Yeah.
What do you call a numbers guy at an insurance company, Larry? That's what I'm trying to think of.
Not a fiduciary.
counter?
No, not a bean counter. There's a word for it because all my poker guys are it, and I can't think of the name of it. But they're the ones that sitting there doing the stats. It's not ex quarterbacks and all that stuff or announcers. It's just those
Which
guys.
I understand. You don't want ex-quarterbacks doing those stats. Terry Bradshaw would not be good at doing those stats. But
He'd have to take off his shoes just to count to 20.
Count these teeth.
But they're mostly computer generated these days.
Correct. And
But somebody's got to put the information into the computer.
Well, that's just
Well,
stats
they
from the
put the
game.
information of everything that's happened in the history of football, and they say, and the computer comes up with these new rules.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're afraid of how they look. I mean, you see basketball stats. If players shot free throws underhanded, they'd make way more baskets. Wilt Chamberlain would have scored thousands of more points if he had done it other than the 1 year. Of course,
Shaq would have won every year.
and they wouldn't have hack a Shaq. They wouldn't be able to just hack him
No,
every time.
there wouldn't have been any of
There's
that.
all these players that get pulled out of the NBA games because they can't make a free throw. most expensive players can't play the last 2 minutes. And Shaq even said, "Yep, I'd make more free throws, but I'd look like a sissy." I'm like, "But you'd win more games," and that's
Correct.
kind of what the punting is. Like, I'm worried about how I look versus trying to win games. And,
Rick Barry, perfect example.
Rick
of it,
Barry's the
right?
one that. Oh yeah, he's trying to train all these folks, but
Yeah.
Too dumb to listen.
well,
Yeah.
too prideful to listen. Again, they don't want to be a quote sissy.
All right, but we're going to move on to our next commercial.
A sissy who wins a lot.
Or
Or
exactly, yeah.
Well, I'll try to think of this word for a word guy at a numbers guy at an insurance company. Go ahead, Larry. Let's do. Oh, it's Robert. It's time to do American Access.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor, bachelorette party, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Access has 3 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works. Each and every location is conveniently and not coincidentally located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And we thank you, Dan, for doing that, being a sponsor. Dan Fisher and American Access. And for you, we're going to make some picks right now about the NCAA basketball tournament. It is time for March Madness. This is the week.
This is it.
Make no mistake where you are.
Yeah, I got something to say about that man's career.
Kenny Loggins?
Well, no, that's right. I'm sorry. I was on Crisscross. I was doing. I knew whatchamacallit was singing backup. Mr. Doobie Brothers on the song.
Michael McDonald.
Correct. So I got it confused with the other Crisscross.
Oh, okay.
Ride like the wind.
Christopher Cross. Yeah.
I swear to God, if anybody ever redid it, like they could turn that into any genre, but that song gets no love because of that. It's got that beautiful disco vibe going the whole time. But,
That's a first for the show. Robert dancing on the show. That's pretty cool.
But, like a band like Pantera, which most people wouldn't even be able to understand, they could do
Or don't
that.
even know.
They could do that song, Run Like the Wind. I mean, it's a very powerful, it's a really good song.
Yeah, it is a good
Just
song.
throwing that out there.
I've got that album, actually, Christopher Cross. So NCAA basketball, did you watch the brawl?
The brawl was interesting.
It
'Cause
was interesting.
I want to know your thoughts on Flau'jae here. She's a Sprayberry grad, so local girl.
Who is?
Flau'jae Johnson, who was the one that caused that rough foul and then got pushed to the ground. So did she start the brawl with that unnecessary foul, or she was a victim of getting slammed to the
I think
court?
she was
Yes.
a victim.
Did a little bit of both there.
She
but-
did a little grabbing, but, I mean, there's always jawing and stuff. The girl that did the pushing, I know she can't play in the first round. Of
That
the-
was pretty malicious there, yeah.
Yeah, but if I was Don Staley, I'd say you can't play in the second game either, because that's NCAA punishment. If I were the coach, I said, I'm going to punish you because that's not the way we do things at South Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think Don Staley's a class act most of the time. But but I was not happy with that. College basketball could have been happy with that.
No, I wouldn't think so. But that's where we get our call from Sprayberry with the brawl. So yeah.
I like that. I'll say this. There's an aspect to women's basketball as it becomes more and more popular, and I don't like girls can't do that. Girls can't. Well, all of a sudden now these girls can fight. So now all of a sudden it's possibly changing a little bit of that definition about women's college basketball. And I'll say this. People always want to talk about a rivalry. Well, you can't have a rivalry until somebody doesn't like somebody. And if you've gone undefeated, what's South Carolina's record in their last 70 games? They're 69-1. They've only lost that one game to Iowa. And then you've got LSU on the other side, and they're like, yeah, we might play your Huckleberry during the regular season, but we're the ones who got the title right now. So, that is a fun rivalry. For years and years you had Tennessee and UConn with the, carrying the torch. Well, they only got to see each other come March. This is a lot more fun. This is going to be fun every season. So I like it. I think the fight is good for the sport.
Well, that's something else we can agree to disagree on,
There you
right?
go.
I see your point, though. I don't think it's good, but I can see it's getting more airplay. And
Well,
more excitement
college
and-
basketball is getting more airplay. Women's college basketball because of Caitlin Clark. I don't
yeah.
care who you think it is. It's not South Carolina. It's not LSU. It's because of Caitlin Clark.
No, you're absolutely right. But when Caitlin Clark goes to the pros next year, you're left with South Carolina and LSU, and that's why these types of stories feed into what you can, the narrative you can sell next year to make it watchable.
Yeah,
Okay, I can go along with you that it gives some impetus to the sport, but South Carolina, they've got all new players this year, right? They pretty much graduated everybody last year.
Not
and
everybody.
Dawn Staley brought a team back. So it proves how good she is a coach. I'm just not real happy with this girl she's 6'8", 6'9", that pushed down the girl from Shrewsbury. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just don't
Camila
do that.
Cardoso.
And not only that, Cardoso?
Camila Cardoso.
Cardoso, yeah. And you don't leave the bench. I thought it was odd that everybody that left the bench got
Oh, yeah.
kicked out of the
that's
game.
the rule.
That's the oldest rule in the world.
And
Can't
if-
run out of the dugout.
And at first they said that they were not even going to be able to play in the first round. So imagine if they had to play in the first round with 5 players. And
Well-
they came out and found out that they were wrong. They said, no,
But
that's
it'd
not
be
right.
okay because they're going to play Northwest Arkansas State in that first round game.
Or Tulane.
And it will be at home.
Or Tulane.
you
Oh,
go.
sorry, Larry.
I don't think Tulane has a women's team.
Oh, don't even have a women's team. All right.
I'm not sure Michigan has a men's team this year either. So yeah,
But
Yeah.
hey,
All
you're
right.
playing today.
Yeah.
there you go.
So speaking of men's, we need to move over to the men's bracket.
Unless you want to talk about Caitlin Clark.
Well, you want to talk some about her? Because you obviously do.
I'm just excited.
The Nebraska overtime game was cool. Robert and I were texting back and forth during that game.
Nice.
So-
came back 11 points down, 13 points down in the second half.
I've been praying for weeks on end, and I basically got everything I wanted out of women's college basketball this past weekend. I got Ohio State to lose. I got Indiana to lose. I got Iowa to win. And then I got Texas and the Pac-12 to dominate. And hopefully that turns Caitlin into the number 1 seed. So I have tickets to Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games for the
Nice.
women's tournament in Albany, New York. But who knows who's going to Albany? Now, there's only 2 regionals, so it'll be 2 per city, but the other one's in Portland. The biggest problem with this, as far as the math, where is Iowa located? Would you say it's in the South, the West, the East, or the Midwest?
I have to go with Midwest.
Well, I think it's in the center of the
Right,
Midwest.
dead center. Yeah.
But what's working for me as I look at the schedule is I say, because of Texas doing what they did and all the other teams out west, it's easier to call Iowa an Eastern team, Texas a Central team, and then everybody out west gets to have their thing.
Yeah, but if there's only 2 locations, then 2 1 seeds have to go to each location, right?
That's correct. But I'm sure the Midwest will go to Portland, Oregon, and not Albany, New York. So
Yeah.
I'm rooting against that.
So South Carolina will probably go to
South
Albany.
Carolina is going to Albany.
Yeah.
I would almost guarantee
So we'll
that.
see who the second team is, and I can't even remember who the other girls teams are.
Stanford and
USC, maybe USC.
Maybe USC, but Stanford had a good enough regular season where they still might get the nod, even though USC beat them in
In the last Pac-12 championship.
the last.
All right, so we only got 7 minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about men's basketball. Great weekend for Purdue. Great weekend for Houston. I watched the Houston game Saturday when they blew out Kansas. Kansas had a couple of players hurt, and Bill Self is going to sit them for the tournament. He's going to wait till the big dance to play him again. So they're probably going to be one and done, which
They're
will
playing
probably drop them
Cincinnati.
down to
They're
a
playing
4 seed.
Cincinnati today, so that'll be interesting to see tonight.
And probably drop them to a 4 seed instead of a 3 seed. But at that point, does it really matter? You just want to win 6 games and go to the championship
That's
game.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's interesting, one of the things I do love about March Madness is how they take all of the teams that like each other and know each other better, and they go, okay, one in the West, one in the East, one. If Duke and Carolina play again, it'll be for a national championship because they're going to split them up on the opposite side. They'll do the same thing as we were talking about with women's. Purdue will go into one, Ohio State will go into another, Indiana. They'll split up all the Pac girls. So the most interesting conference right now for me, as far as splitting them up, it has to be the Big 12.
Yep.
I mean, wow, those teams,
They got a lot of good teams.
they got a lot of good teams.
So they can't
I'm
all
looking
be
at
split
one
up.
of them. Actually, I'm looking at 2 of them, possibly playing for a natty.
Houston?
That could be one of them.
Yeah, it should be. If I had to make a pick right now,
Correct.
after watching them demolish Kansas, I would have to go with Houston. They make you work for every shot you take. Every shot you take. They play better defense than anybody college team I've seen in a long time.
Very similar to what Nolan Richardson used to bring to the table
And
with
Arkansas.
40 minutes of hell.
Yeah.
They used to call it.
They had Marvin Delph and Ron Brewer and Sidney Moncrief. Wow, that was a
Jason
good
Day.
basketball team. Yeah, that was a great basketball team. But yeah, it's really hard to say it's going to be Houston versus Purdue in the finals
'Cause
until
there's
the
so
brackets are laid out.
So many brackets.
Yeah.
Got to figure out a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
But speaking of brackets, we here at Three Guys Who Love Sports are going to have our own bracket for the third year. And speaking of that, Larry,
to be confused
you
with
want to tell
Garrett.
us where people can not confused with Garrett bracket. Can you tell these people how to find our bracket?
Yeah, if you just go to our website, threeguyswholovesports.com, and click on the link that says play the March Madness tournament, you can do a link, and by tomorrow you'll also be able to text in a bracket to 470-7-SPORTS or 470-777-6787.
For those of you that went to Georgia and can't figure that out yet. All right, so don't forget we've got our brackets starting this week. I know Will the Thrill Renfro, if he'll stop walking so much and can sit down long enough to fill out a bracket, he will.
Man never slows down enough to fill out a bracket.
I'm telling you, Slim Renfro, we're going to have to start calling him. That's pretty cool. So, Mickey, any final thoughts on college basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I followed the regular season to the extent of my teams, which is generally Michigan and Georgia. So, needless to say, I've not
You haven't
followed
been
the regular
watching
season.
much
I haven't watched a lot of
college
basketball.
basketball, yeah.
But I'm a Big Ten guy at heart, and Purdue, I like Purdue to take it all. But we'll see. Like you guys said,
Is
there's
it
so much
just
chaos coming.
because you're a Big Ten guy, or
Well, not just
have you
because.
watched Zach Edey at all?
There's a lot of, again, I'm not going to put money on any of them. It's all up for grabs. But I like the way Purdue's look, so we'll see what happens. I'll fill out a bracket, and you guys can mock me for that.
we will.
Yeah, I usually fill out a chalk bracket too. I'll fill out a regular bracket, then a chalk bracket. The chalk bracket always wins, so yeah.
Yeah.
see what happens
Chalk
there.
brackets are tough to do. Now, I picked the winner last year, Kansas, but I came in second in the pool because, not our pool, Keith's pool, because
You stunk it up
I missed
the rest
so
of the
many
time.
early games.
Yeah, Kansas. I like when Kansas is one. I call my bracket Rock Chalk Jayhawk and make it chalk. It's
Oh,
just
really?
chalk with Kansas winning. But if they're not going to be number one, I need a new name here. So I'm in
Well,
trouble.
it's funny because when they won in 1985, I picked them. That's the only time in my whole life I've ever won the whole NCAA bracket.
Nice.
And so anytime they're near the top, I usually take Kansas to be the championship, but I'm not going to this year. I think they've got too many injuries. They probably have the best starting five in the country, but with two of them hurt, I just don't see them going maybe Elite Eight. I don't see them going all the way to the Final Four, though. I just think there's too many other good teams out there.
Yeah, they're solid, but there's so many
North
good teams.
Carolina's wound up being pretty good, even though Georgia Tech beat them. Tech beat some other couple of good teams. Beat Duke too. They're the only team that beat Duke and North Carolina this year. The only one that beat Wake Forest at home. Tech had a pretty good
Dang.
game. They won all the games they shouldn't have won, and they lost all the games they shouldn't have lost, just like your football team. So hopefully David Stoudemire's got things turned around down at Tech, and we'll see. Robert, you got any final men's basketball thoughts?
No, just excited to watch a little bit of basketball this week. You know, this is today's the day for to get to all the teams with buys.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta win today, and I love college basketball when we get into this, because I was telling my dad, I was explaining to him last Friday that the four girls in the Big Ten tournament, it was Michigan State, Indiana, Ohio State, Iowa. It's like these four teams have been waiting. I was like, no, the team that is going against won yesterday for this right. You know, there's something that we always undervalue and underestimate about a team that's already gone out there and already worked for the first 40 minutes. All right, give us the next team. Give us the, you know, and that's what makes this week so fun.
And it rounds up with the show on Sunday, the bracket announcements. And Will and I were together at the bracket announcement last year when we were at KSU, when they announced that we were playing Xavier in Greensboro, and the whole place lit up. It was incredible how loud that place got. And I'd give anything if we were going back to a game this year, but unfortunately the Owls fell short. And who is going from the ASUN? Is it Stetson? Stetson won it? Yep. So Stetson's representing the ASUN, and it will be our last chance to represent the ASUN because we are now only 3.5 months from being in the Conference USA. So, yeah. So don't forget to check us out on our website, 3guyswholovesports.com, and fill out your brackets to win a gift card here at Miller's Ale House. Robert, great show.
Absolutely.
Mickey, thanks
Yep.
for being on, buddy.
Thanks for the
Mickey,
invite.
well,
Yeah.
hope
Mickey,
you come
since
back.
you won't be here next week, who is going to cut down the nets? Who will
Purdue.
be?
He's gonna say
I'm
Purdue.
going
Purdue.
Purdue all the way.
I'm going Purdue.
Yeah.
Writing it down.
Big
Don't write
Ten
it down.
guy.
Don't write it down.
Well, we appreciate
Never
everybody
mind.
being out here, and don't forget, guys, take care of yourselves, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. Talk to you soon.
See ya.